Hello, and welcome to the Mr. 50mm YouTube channel. I'm Chris. Got it right that time. That is my name. It does say so on my ID, which is right here. Anyways, this video will be a bit different. I guess we can call it an end of year video of sorts, or maybe a new year video? I'm not sure. But what I really want to talk about is effectively what I plan to do, or what I think is going to be coming for the 2026 year of videos. So we'll basically just be discussing ideas I have for where I want to take this channel. And after I do go through those, feel free to let me know what your thoughts are and what you'd like to see in this channel. However, before we get started, I do want to plug my brother's channel. It's called Chang of Fools, and there'll be a link in the description below and a card up here or there somewhere on screen, so you can click away now if you want. And for those of you who don't know, he also does photography, videography content. So it's good stuff. With that, let's get into it. Cameras that I missed. For one reason or another, I've developed a kind of large cache of cameras that I've yet to review. I didn't really mean for this to happen. It's kind of nice that it did, because that means that I have cameras to review in 2026. But let me explain how this became kind of a large cache of cameras. At some point in this year, there have been times where I wanted to go out to take photos, and I knew I had cameras that I wanted to look at, but I also have cameras that I just wanted to shoot. And I've already done a review on them, but I still like them. So a lot of the times I would just stick to doing that. For example, 5D Mark IV, that's come out with me a lot this year. I did the review and I really liked it, so I kept shooting it. There are other cameras that I have that I just took them out and I didn't fully click with the camera. So I shelved the video idea and I took a different camera out that I had more fun with, and I thought maybe I'll get back to that camera later, and when I do, maybe that camera will click with me then. One of these cameras is the Pentax K5. I've been told the K5 is super duper, but for some reason when I pick it up, and I have picked it up a couple times this year, I put it back down. The first time it happened is because I picked up the K3 and I immediately liked that a lot more. So I just shot that and made that video and went on with it. Another camera that we have that I haven't talked about or haven't made a review of is the GH2. You saw, or you might have seen, I did a video on it, but yeah, no review yet. Another one is Olympus E410, the DSLR. We also have the EPM1. And yeah, this one I straight up forgot I owned one of these. The next one that I never got around to doing a video on this year was the Nikon D2H. And when it comes to Canon, I've had this M6 Mark II for a little while now, and I actually really like shooting it, but for some reason I've not got around to drafting a script on it. So yeah, expect to see a video on this year, hopefully. Other Canon cameras are the 40D. I actually did think about doing that one immediately after the 30D video, but when I pick up the 40D and I turn it on and I look at that rear screen, I feel really annoyed. For some reason, I really hate the rear LCD on the 40D. I actually brought up the LCD on the 1D3, and it does share a very similar screen, if not the same one, and I really didn't like that screen either. But I did like the 1D3 enough to shoot past the screen. But yeah, for the 40D, for some reason, I look at that, and it's enough to make me put the camera down. I don't like it that much that I'll shoot through it. And here's a camera that I haven't talked about. Well, I've talked about it, but I haven't reviewed it. My A7 III, the one shooting this video. Maybe this will be the year that I actually review it. Maybe. Probably not, but who knows. More engagement. A kind of reoccurring comment or request that I get is to host images somewhere other than the random sample galleries in the actual videos. Uh, Specifically, I do get requests to put up raw images. I'm probably not going to do that anytime soon. This channel is supposed to be fun for me, and the idea of hosting RAWs and maintaining that sounds like the opposite. However, I did make a free Flickr account, so we'll start with that. And I plan to eventually start uploading select images from each video if I remember to do it, and we'll see how that goes. We'll eventually probably run out of the freeness. I'll have to delete old photos, or actually spend the money on a Flickr Pro, but again, we'll see how this goes. Another request that I've had come up once in a while is to start something like a Discord. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just not really sure how administration of this kind of stuff works, so I'll actually look into that and maybe we'll get one of those started. If anyone else has any other ideas for more community engagement, I'm all ears. Right now, it seems like Discord probably is the easiest option to get things rolling, and it does legitimately sound fun to just chat cameras once in a while, so yeah, maybe we'll start with that. More projects. One thing I do want to do, if I can manage to find more hours in a day, I know the 25th hour is hiding somewhere. We'll do more builds. The most fun I had this past year was building this camera, the rangefinder build. I'll also link to that somewhere below, just in case you haven't seen that. It was a lot of fun. So I am actually planning to do a APS-C variant. I'm not sure when that build will actually start, but at least know that there's a project in the works in my mind. Aside from that, I also have some ideas for other projects that are less intense, possibly more practical builds. I know there are still some battery builds I want to make videos for, but there's one thing for those that I do need to take in consideration, and that's to try to avoid using straight up just lithium ion cells. Just an FYI, over the year, I had a couple issues with these spicy cylinders, so safety kind of sprang to mind. Other project ideas that I have that are possibly just a little more straightforward are things like adapting glass that haven't yet been adapted to more strange things like figuring out what I can do with camera components or pushing the limits of what some camera bits can do outside their intended operating environment. You might see something like that happen kind of soon. But an example of another straightforward build would be something like this. This is the lens off a Minolta A2, and I've made it into an E-mount lens. So I kind of want to make a video, at least describing how it is on my A7 II or other E-mount cameras. Either way, I hope that in 2026, I find that extra time and we get more build videos. More musings. There are a couple of videos that were on this channel last year or this year in 2025 that I had a lot of fun making. Things like the impacts of the T90 or some of Canon's innovations or why I like rangefinders. Those were a lot of fun for me, and I think they're reasonably well received. So I kind of want to do a couple more of those types of videos in the coming 2026. I'm thinking maybe a discussion about EVFs, possibly comparing CMOS and CCD from the perspective of medium format cameras, and probably a little more dissection of my enjoyment of film. I don't know though. If you have some ideas for what you want to hear me rant about, put those in the comments below. Film. Now, I'm no expert on the topic, but hey, I really like shooting it. So expect to see more videos with relation to film cameras. There's a whole stack of cameras I have around that I want to shoot and talk about. I especially kind of already have an idea of taking out some medium format cameras and doing some videos on those. Partly because I realized that I have some and I haven't shot them in a while, and they were quite fun to do. So yeah, those will be coming down the line, and maybe I'll even do a video on my Leica M3. Either way, expect more film-centric content in 2026. And at the very least, I'm planning to do a video espousing the brilliance that is camera scanning, because it is really quite brilliant. Lenses! As my name suggests, I really like 50mm lenses, and I still do. And I have many to discuss. In fact, I've got a doozy of a 50 that I'm hankering to shoot and talk about. But expect that I'll probably also expand to some other focal lengths. It turns out there are other focal lengths other than 50mm. Did you know that? I learned there are focal lengths like 35, 24, 85, 105. Those are all numbers. And I feel like I should check them out. Some of them are even multiples of 50, like 100 and 150 and 200. That's another multiple, so many multiples. So maybe a name change may be in order. Probably not for 2026, but maybe for 2027. Conclusion. So I do think that overall, this might mean that there are going to be less camera review videos overall in the coming year. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. After all, there are only so many cameras that exist, and I feel like I've reviewed quite a few of them. The only thing that I otherwise could think of to keep that kind of momentum going is to increase the expenditure of my monies to buy newer mirrorless cameras, and that is probably not going to happen because that is very, very expensive. But again, I hope that we can kind of mix it up with different kinds of videos. One other thing I do want to point out, though, is that I am seemingly getting more brand collaborations, but expect that I'm going to keep the same kind of thing that I've been doing, where those videos stay out of the Saturday release schedule. Unless I think the video idea is something that I think is really worth putting into the normal Saturday release time, I'll try to keep those brand collab videos as extra releases in the middle of the week outside of that Saturday video. So you can always expect that if there's a brand collab video, it'll be in the middle of the week, and another video will be out on Saturday. And I think that the last year, for what brand collab videos I did, I was able to manage that recording workload, and hopefully you can manage that again this year, because it's fun to do those videos too. All that to say is that there are a lot of ideas for what's to come for 2026. I'm not sure how much of what I just said is actually going to make it through into this new year of 2026, but hopefully we get stuff that you want to see. And if there's anything particularly you'd like to see, let me know. If you have any, again, community engagement ideas, put that in the comments down below. And no matter how 2025 has been, I hope everyone's 2026 is better. See you in the future lands of Tomorrowville or something like that. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, maybe a super thanks if you're into that. Till next time, bye. Actually, I guess I'm supposed to say, have a happy new year. Okay, now, goodbye.